Hello, namaskar, namaste, and I welcome you everyone here in our Sheroes. KomTv present our Sheroes. I am Sheetal Adgurwar, host for today's session. KomTv is community's first and exclusive Arya Vaishya online video platform. KomTV brings in many features like live and recorded videos, shows, interviews, news, lifestyle shows, children's and senior citizen program, short series, and many more. Home TV is unlimited entertainment in the language that sounds like home. Home TV present our Sheroes is powered by Karur Vaishya Bank, and it is co-powered by Arya Vaishya Startup, an initiative of Mahesh Regundwar. Home TV present our Sheroes is the series of the shows which are dedicated to women, where all the team, like all the host, all the special guests, all the chief guests, and our technical team are all women. So we are celebrating this as a women's special month. Now let's move towards the session. Many of today's leading and most admired entrepreneurs are strong women. They have achieved and overcome many challenges and made their mark on the world. Experiences of this woman holds the power to inspire each one of us to achieve our entrepreneurial dreams. What better way to understand than to hear the wisdom in their own words? For that, we have two wonderful women with us today. Sharda Balaji ma'am and as our chief guest, and Bhavana Rajesh as our special guest. Sharda Balaji is a founder of NovoJuris Legal, a boutique law firm which focused on investments and financial transactions and corporate advisory. Over the past 8 years, NovoJuris has been handling thousands of transactions and businesses, including high profile unicorns and exits. We welcome you, Shada ma'am, here in KomTv. We are very glad and honored to have you.
Thank you so much, Sheetal. It's my pleasure being here, and thank you, KomTv.
Also, as I have mentioned, we have Bhavna Rajesh as our special guest. Bhavna Rajesh, by profession, she is IT professional, but by passion, she is an entrepreneur. She is president of uh, WeVysya and also president of UDAK Foundation. She is a chocolatier and yoga enthusiast. She has presented India in international conferences in Paris, and also she is Rashtrapati awardee. So thank you so much, and we are honored and glad to have you, Bhavna, here with us. Tell
Thank you
us
so much, Sheetal.
how you manage all this. Tell us.
All right. So first of all, thanks to KomTV and thanks to Sheetal for that sweet intro. Thank you so much. It feels a privilege to be here today. So I just believe in the concept of where there is will, there is a way, right? So whatever we want to do in life, it's just that, and also I believe in health as wealth. So if we are healthy and if we have the wish to do something, I think that is when we can achieve or do whatever we wish to do. So these are the two things that has been keeping me up and moving, and it's all the God's grace and wishes and blessings from all my well wishers, elders, parents, everyone that has kept me moving. So basically, in Vysya, it was started like 4 years before, and we have been doing great. And we have a presence in 4 states, that is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. And this is the fourth year, and I'm happy that I've got an opportunity to lead such a wonderful organization, WeVysya. So this year, I'm working as the global president of WeVysya. So we have a lot of initiatives going on for the benefit of our members and also our community. So some of the events you all can be part of is, like, we are doing business bites with Bhavna every day morning at sharp 7:30 a.m., where we bring in one member, and we will introduce that member to a larger audience, and we'll talk about their business. And in WeVysya, it's actually a business entrepreneurs grid, right? So anybody who's willing to expand your network and want to grow in your businesses, have the daily motivation to do anything. And we do not know, right, during our businesses, where, when we will get a connect, what is the turning point to any of us. So in that sense, it's always good to stay in good network and increase our network, and be present wherever possible, so that we can grow our network in that way. So apart from this, I'm also part I also started a new initiative called Gnana Smriti, where for my mother, basically. So we teach shlokas, Bhagavad Gita, stotrams, and more of these, because this culture and tradition, spirituality, most of these things comes from home, right? And today we see that somewhere there is these things are missing, because when we teach our students, parents say that, यार, I mean, हमें ही नहीं पता है, तो how can we teach our students, right? So in that sense, we thought it is a small effort from our side to start teaching kids about, how they can actually um, get into this spiritual stream as well. And as I said, health is wealth. So I believe that we should have any of the good physical practices for us to stay healthy. Because staying healthy is more both physically and mentally, right? Only if the body is healthy and mind is not in sync, still we will not be able to do much. And if the mind is good and body is in pain, still we cannot do much. Only when both of them are in sync, then I think we can keep stepping forward and achieve more, I guess. So in that sense, I request everyone today, on this day, that if you are still not into any physical activities, like jogging, walking, it can be like gym or aerobics, dance, yoga, anything, just make a note and ensure that today you start doing something regularly, because this is going to pay off in the long run. If we have to achieve and stay healthy for longer duration and do more to ourselves and the society, I think we need to be healthy. So I have found yoga to be a good option for that. And anybody who's interested in being part of Vivashya or Gnana Smriti or my yoga initiatives, you are all always welcome, and we all together can take it to next levels. And anybody has any questions or want to connect on these aspects, I'll be more than happy to connect on that. So I also run a event management company called Red Ribbon Pro. So any of the events that you have, we will be happy to take up, and you can enjoy the event while we execute your events. So while I say this, I think thank you so much for KomTv for providing this opportunity and inviting me on this platform today. So you all have been doing great. One or the other initiatives that you have been doing regularly, I have been following it. Congratulations and all the best to you to do more for the society, and encouraging more people in this stream is what I would love to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Sheetal, to you.
enriching us with your experiences. It was nice meeting you here.
Thank
So
you.
now let's move towards our today's topic, that is empowering a businesswoman in you. Somewhere I believe personally that somewhere someone at some point of life they have thought that let's start a business, let's start a small thela or a hotel or restaurant, or let's create a developer app and sell it or something like that. Everyone has this going maybe in mind. So to all the audience who would like to be a future entrepreneur, our chat lines are open and we will solve your queries. And to solve those queries, we have Shada ma'am with us. So let's hear from her. So Shada ma'am, you have done so much, and we really want to start with where all it started and your early life and education. You have done so much in education also. So tell us about that.
Sure. Thank you once again for having me here. Um, in terms of early time, it was more like a desire that I wanted that, I should be the single stop for any legal solution that a corporate would have. And when I started off, I was the group general counsel for Manipal Group. I was handling about their 25 odd businesses, from Kurlon mattress to a medical transcription company to a motors to a healthcare to a hospital to a educational institution, a variety of businesses. And that's where I learned my art of buying and selling companies, buying and building brands, selling brands, joint ventures, etc. And then I moved on to um, uh, a role in Intel Technologies, the hardware semiconductor company. And there I was handling South Asia, which was about 4 countries: India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and set up many businesses across, including funds in Mauritius, etc. and and we used to have something called a strategic initiatives group, where a engineer could come and present their idea, a 2-page idea, and if it's worth its while, it would get into a proof of concept level, and if it is good enough, then it gets funded and becomes a very large business unit. So I worked on something in health tech, digital health tech, and back then it used to be, um, very early in its life, because of um, the the form factors for medical devices was still new. Many of the technologies like we know as RFIDs, etc., was still new back in 2003, 2004, and but we did take it, and it became a very large business unit within Intel. And I said, okay, if this is what I love to do over and over, then why don't I start helping startups, enable them to scale from a small business idea into a large uh, worldwide business. And that gave me a lot of motivation to start. But then, what happens is, I was in a big job and a nice salary, and it's very difficult to just take a shot like that and start off. So I took my time. Initially, everybody needs capital, right? So I took some time, planned everything, got my capital in, got some recruitments in, and in 2008 I launched NovoJuris. um, I think the dots you connect is only dots that you connect backwards and not so much forwards. What I would recommend anybody, though, is every experience is so important. Every interaction is so important. Every network is so important. Uh, uh, every relationship that you build is so important, from your mentor to your school teacher to fellow peer member to everybody. So it's so important. And as we move along, Sheetal, I'll talk about how having a pure member to join your business, etc., going along. But I think largely, Sheetal, it is about um, having that large goalpost and making those steps not necessarily in a direction that you think it should be, but allow it to veer a little towards. But if your large goalpost is out there, that is what you want to do, then the route might be different, but you will reach there. So that's been my journey over the last few years, and it's been incredible experience.
Really, we have to pay attention towards what really we want to do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes. Shada ma'am, also, like, NovoJuris has been in India's top 5 private equity consistently from last 5 years. So, and it has handled thousands of financial transactions and many things. So, really, what exactly NovoJuris does? Like, you have started that. So, what exactly that company does?
Okay, so NovoJuris Legal is a law firm. We started in 2008, 14th of Feb 2008, so that I could say I fell in love with my company. Um, we started off saying that, it was my personal goal when I started, saying that, I need to make a positive difference to at least 1 lakh entrepreneurs. And that kind of gave the seed to what we would do in NovoJuris as well. One, take the small business idea and make it so large, make it worldwide, go for an IPO, for example, because I've done an IPO of Puravankara projects just before starting off NovoJuris. Um, what NovoJuris does is we focus on tech-enabled businesses where technology is a means to scale businesses substantially. Um, what I mean is, take an example of Oyo, where I worked with Ritesh when he was 19 years old, and we got him through the multiple stages of funding, and it became a large business. Or take an example of Practo, where I worked with Shashank when he was still in his final year of engineering, and taking him through, setting it up, coming together, multiple rounds of businesses, setting up an entity in Singapore. The, the business itself scaled so much. There is a lot of changes that happen within the business model, which we call pivot. So it goes through multiple pivots, and you help through those pivots, and then you scale, right? And then perhaps they acquire companies or they get acquired. So through all of this, the continuum of initiating, setting up and forming the entity, whether you need to be in India, Singapore, US, we help them through that. And then we become their legal department, from employment, vendor, customer related contracts, technology related contracts, data protection, intellectual property, employee stock option pool, a whole range of those things. And multiple rounds of investment, like you pointed out, right? Through the continuum of seed stage of investment, friends and family, taking a bet on the entrepreneur and investing in them. And then you get institutional investors, who, like a venture capitalist, who comes and invests in the company. And then there are multiple rounds, like your Tiger Global, which is a very large venture capital firm in the world. We kind of get those investments. Then the M&A transactions, which I spoke about, and the exit. Sometimes not so good exit, maybe they wind up. Sometimes extremely good exits where someone gets acquired, right? Right now, I'm working with a health tech company, which Policy Bazaar is acquiring them, and and these are people who just started off from their college time, and they're getting acquired. So through that journey, that's what NovoJuris does.
Yes, so this was about NovoJuris. Shada ma'am, you also invest in various firms and startups. What about that? How you select those companies, or how people approaches you?
Okay, so there are two kinds of businesses, Sheetal. One is what I call a lifestyle business, and the other is scalable businesses. So, in terms of lifestyle businesses, it could be, cake, candle making, or chocolate making, or beauty salon, etc. And that is for yourself as your own means of living, and you make profits, you make a living out of the profits, you employ more, you scale up, but it is just you, right? Then there are scalable businesses where it could be a beauty salon, but you have a YLG, which is India's wide global, India wide salon chain, right? It could be a chocolate making, but you would have a global lint, like a chocolate brand, right? It could be doing an event management. It could be just you, or it could be a platform where you make an aggregation of, say, a photographer to a venue person, to a orchestra person, to a music person, to a magician, perhaps a mehendi person. So you make it as a platform so everybody could plug in, and you scale it so large, and you make it as such you do 10,000 events, 20,000 events, kind of a scale is what you look at. Then you get external investments to make it happen, because it can't be a team of 5 or 10 people, right? You need a large team to execute those many kinds of things. Or it could be an e-commerce grocery store, which could be one grocery store, or you could become a Flipkart, for example, or an Amazon, for example, or a Big Basket, for example. So I call this as lifestyle and the scalable businesses. And if it is about the scalable businesses is where they get funded, right? And if it is a lifestyle business, then it is more about you making profits, etc. Now, the way I choose is scalable businesses, and typically I like that which is a health tech or a edu tech or women oriented, impact related, is what I typically choose. But I have about 27 companies where I have invested in, and one of them is a space tech company. They have launched a satellite in the space, and they are going to scale up as a space infrastructure company, where ICICI Bank could kind of reach to them and say, okay, you know what, tell me a little bit about the growth of this crop, therefore I can give a crop loan, for example, right? That's what they do. And similarly, I have about 27 companies where I have invested. Plus, it's a bet about the entrepreneur too, where is this the business which which is resolving or solving a problem which is large enough, and is this the entrepreneur the right fit to make it happen? So these are the things that I typically look at when I look for an investment, and that's how I make my investments.
Very nice. This terms and this information, I really had to say that person like me or people like me do not have. So this is amazing to hear this type of business, and how you select it and how we can approach to Shada ma'am, of course, and NovoJuris if we are interested. Shada ma'am, you have had opportunities in working with mega corporates. Then you have done IPOs, and you have also invested in small or rapidly growing companies. Then what made you start NovoJuris? What struck you to start the company?
So when I was working at Intel, which I spoke about a bit earlier, where I was working with the Strategic Initiatives Group, where an engineer could come in and present their two-page business idea, and it was a patent harvesting session, and gets funded, becomes a very large business unit. And I saw something in digital health become a global business unit within Intel. And I said, okay, if this is what I like to do, why not? And then back then in 2008, that was the stepping stone, 2007, 2008, where a lot of these entrepreneurs would kind of come together, called Open Coffee Club. And they would come and talk about, this is the idea that I'm thinking, what do you guys think, etc. And I had happened to attend one of them. And the moment they figured that I was a lawyer, I got questions from a range of things, a huge range of things. Suddenly there was a speaker on the stage, but the 50 odd people suddenly turned towards me and they started shooting me their questions. See, how do I get started? What kind of form should I use? Format, as in a company, a partnership firm, a sole proprietary, etc. And those were the basics, right? And if I were to start on my own, do you think I should get another partner? If I get another partner as a founder, co-founder, what kind of relationship should I have? What's the kind of contract that I can have with them? Can I just start off without protecting my intellectual property? Should I do a trademark? Should I copyright my show? All of those things. And I said, oh wow. So if there is such a huge gap for young companies, and they have such a ton of questions, then I started writing a lot about it. And that became a trending blog post on one of the blog. Uh, and that was the seeding of the thought that why don't I focus more on the young startups and scale them out? So that was the whole idea of how it initiated.
So how does the NovoJuris started? Is It's all about the story, yes, right? So Shada ma'am, you have also worked with many several venture capitalists and investors uh, across the varied spectrum of early stage to large investment. Then how you decide like where to invest in, and would there be a preference to women run enterprises?
Okay, so there are three questions in that. So when I make an investment, it is my personal investment. I still don't have a fund, but I have invested in a venture fund as well. Um, as NovoJuris, we help these venture funds to invest into companies. So, as a part of that process, Sheetal, what happens is there is a legal due diligence that happens. There is a shareholders agreement, there's a share subscription agreement. How will they invest, when do they invest, what is the health of the company, based on the due diligence. Is it okay for them to invest? Are there any non-compliances? How big or small or manageable is those non-compliances? Those are the things that we do as no juris legal, which is the legal aspect of a funding process. um, in terms of investors investing in women businesses, um, what I had seen back in 2008, 2009 was women thinking of the lifestyle business, which I mentioned earlier. Right? They may be doing a salon or a candle making or a cupcakes, etc. But they would look at it as a lifestyle business, not so much as a scalable business. Now, what happens is for a investor, a venture investor, um, it is about their investment in scalable businesses because they make money out of their investment money, right? So today, if they invest, say, 10 crores, then will they be able to make 100 crores of the 10 crores is their business model, right? Because someone else has invested in that fund and they want a large return of their investment in the invest in this venture capital fund, this venture capital fund investing in the startup company, right? So they want to look at very high growth companies. Will they make this 10 crore investment into a 100 crore investment? I'm just taking some numbers, is how they would invest. Now, these women businesses should think of those aspects when they are starting and scaling. Now, women business is okay even being a lifestyle business, which means they start small scale and take it to a stage where it is good enough for them, make business for them, make profits for them. They have a team which they are happy, and within the profits that they are churning is how they scale, right? in a in a scalable business, they want the money for scaling itself, so they wouldn't be seeing profits as yet, right? Flipkart is not seeing profits as yet, Oyo is not seeing profits as yet, but they scale, and it's a growth that comes in here. In a lifestyle, it's profit making. In scalable business, it's a rapid growth that they see, right? So if women businesses are rapid scale growth is when they can see external investment come in, right? And those are the businesses that become very attractive for investment. Otherwise, it will be the friends and family giving some sort of a loan or some sort of initial money for the lady to start the business.
Yes, sure, sure. So these are the tips where you would invest, right? And these are the tips for others also to look at it, how
Yeah,
it is, how
yeah,
it is scaling or it is profit based or something like that, right?
yeah.
Yes, yeah. So here we are gonna take a 2 minutes break and we'll come back and continue the session on and on. So a small break of 2 minutes.
यस, बैंक अकाउंट खोल दिया करूर वैश्या बैंक के डी लाइट ऐप से सिर्फ 3 कदम में।
ओह,
पापा, ऑनलाइन का मतलब जानते हो ना?
ओके, इसके जरिए फंड ट्रांसफर, ज्वेल लोन, फिक्स डिपॉजिट, डीमैट सर्विसेज सब डीलाइट ऐप से करता हूँ।
मम्मा, पापा को देखो, टेक्सावे बन गए।
ओहो, मैं भी अपने बिल पेमेंट्स, मोबाइल रिचार्ज उसी से करती हूँ।
ओके।
आपके सारे बैंकिंग सर्विसेज के लिए केवीबी डीलाइट ऐप, वन ऐप कंप्लीट बैंकिंग।
Hello and welcome back to KomTv present our Sheroes. We are here with Sharda Balaji. The topic is empowering the businesswoman in you. I would really like to mention Sharda Balaji has a special interest in women entrepreneurs. She has chaired TIE's special interest group for women entrepreneurs. She is the Indian trustee for Bale Mane, a loving home for orphan girls. So, Shada ma'am, as a woman entrepreneur, what kind of service do you offer to business or anything special for women entrepreneurs?
Sure. So, any business, including women run businesses, they face the same sort of questions that a man would, right? But what I have seen over my experience is the way a lady reacts to a problem to the way the man reacts to the problem is a little different. Call it psychology, call it, you know, empathy that a lot of women show will make a difference in kind of the scale or the route or the direction that the business takes. Okay. Um, in terms of my role at TIE, what I used to do is that all these business aspects of challenges or issues or questions that businesses face, right? I wanted to bring this small nuance of how women can take it up or women can address it or so that was the main idea, right? In a normal male run business you wouldn't talk about, you know, the a beauty product business, for example, right? Though Nika is so large now, typically we wouldn't get to see. And when I was in Paris, in a startup community that I saw that Revlon was talking about this new hair color spray, and I said, this I don't see in India. Um, this is so women oriented and it's still business, and perhaps because I'm in Bangalore and it is largely tech enabled businesses that I get to see that I don't see this. But it same happens even when you go to other startup communities across, say, Mumbai or Delhi. Mumbai should have happened, right? Entertainment or a beauty related. So that was the main thought process when I started off TIE special interest group for women entrepreneurs, where I would talk about, if you're starting off, then how do you think of relationship with your co-founders, or what kind of contracts you need to have with your co-founders? What happens when the partnership breaks, right? Everybody is happy to come together and start off, but then when things go wrong is when legal kind of kicks in, right? But everybody thinks legal as, when things go wrong is when you have to go to a lawyer, but no, it is usually to avoid those pitfalls is when you need to go to the lawyer. And I specialize in that proactive legal, where you avoid problems, that you put together certain steps or think through a plan, or have those tools with you that you don't get into a problem, right? So those were the things that I started talking about in the special interest group, including, say, for example, if it is not a scalable business, but then everybody needs capital, right? So how can you approach bank? How can you do import and export? Those were the topics that I used to pick and choose for. I used to get speakers and talk about those at TIE Special Interest Group. And TIE is a global chapter. They are across 85 countries, and it's all about India. It's the Indus entrepreneurs. TIE. And it's all about Indians across the globe. And that's the TIE angle. Sheetal, you also spoke about Bale Money. So what happened was, somewhere everybody thinks that, when you grow gray and you age and you finish up your business thing is when you need to do voluntary work or volunteering on some social cause. I think you never know, right? And I think all of this is what makes the person who they are, as character, as just the persona, the DNA, everything builds together. And to me, it is, can I do something for these orphans, or these single parent but not enough means? And that's how Bale Mane, which was already there, and I became the trustee to kind of take them through computer education or English speaking, etc. And I did my little bit to them.
Very nice of that, and very inspiring. It's really if you really want to start something, this is the time. You should not wait for something to happen or something like age or anything. If you have that passion, you should start right now, and it is really inspiring uh, to give our time to needy, and
Yeah.
very good, very nice information,
Thank
Shada
you.
ma'am. Yes, and Shada ma'am, when we're talking about the business and startups, so everyone has this fear of failure. Not all the businesses grow well. There are some failure. So how entrepreneur face the failures? It's uh, that is the tough part, I guess.
I think the fact that um, not all businesses will become successful is an understanding that the entrepreneur should have, right? And while you plan for the best, you should, while you hope for the best, and that's how you go and make the goals, etc., you should also have a plan if things don't go right, right? And failure is not a black mark at all. It is not. And I think failures are important because the lessons that failure teaches is extremely important, um, in designing many of your plans going forward. It's a stepping stone. And it people think that success and life is like that. It's not. It's like that. You put steps, you go back, doesn't work, you go forward, something clicks, and then perhaps not so great, some other plan. And success is like that, right? And it is never like that. So, what label you give to a setback? Do you call it a setback? Do you call it a failure? Do you give up? Do you make changes? Do you pivot from I tried this, it didn't work, so let me try something else, is what one needs to plan, right? So how do you face it? It's a failure or a setback to what you did. It is not a failure or a setback of me as a person. I think this distinction people have to make. It is of what you did, take yourself away, and it is not your failure. So what happens is then the way you treat the outcome is very different. And the biggest issue of many of these failed businesses is when the entrepreneur has made a lot of loan and they are not able to repay, or they have a whole lot of employment dues to pay, is when the dejection starts, right? I think entrepreneurship many a time is a lonely journey because you can't share anything and everything with your team members or your senior leadership deck. So it's helpful if you can build a network of co-entrepreneurs, and that's what KomTv is also trying to do, where you can communicate with other co-founders, with other peers. You learn from the peers, right? So that also is a very helpful exercise. And I take this example of Vaidi, who started India Plaza, and they went through, it was India's first e-commerce website, right? And they did not do very well and it had to shut down. And Vaidi in his book of failures talks about it. And it's the mental agony that he talks about, and how he came up and said, you know what, this mental agony is no good, right? You somewhere need to start again. And he started something called Again Drinks. It's a cool drink called Again Drinks. And these are some of the things that an entrepreneur can do. It's not the end of the journey. It's not end of life. It is not end of something. It is not a black mark. And it is the skills that one learns at the time of failure is so important. It's so critical. And many of them look for those kind of failed entrepreneurs also, because it helps to get those kind of knowledge into a successful business as well, right? How not to do things is also important learning.
Yes, so experience is the best teacher, we say. So that is important to have experience, bad or good, whatever it is, but it's very important and we should move ahead of that. So Shada ma'am, we have also know about the Purvanakara project that you have, you're responsible for raising 900 crores of, for that project. So tell us about that, how that went.
Oh, it's a team. It's the entire team that came together. It's not just me. Purvankara back then used to be more than 23 years old company, and I was brought in to do the IPO of the company. So what happens in an IPO is you have investment bankers and like your Citibank, Kotak Mahindra. Back then we used to have DSP BlackRock. DSP Merrill Lynch. Those are investment bankers who come and help the company put together something called a um, DRHP. It's a red herring prospectus that you file with SEBI, and SEBI takes a look at it, approves it, and and then you have a whole lot of processes that you follow, and then go to the public and list yourself and raise money, list yourself, right? Um, it's quite it was a special experience for me because just before we hit the market in 2006 is when the Lehman Brothers broke out in the US. And I think perhaps Puravankara's IPO was the last in the queue, and everybody could not go ahead for nearly about two and a half years after that. Um, that experience is something that I really cherish. And now again, I see that big bull run happening in India, where so many companies like Zomato, IPO, Oyo again filed its DRHP with SEBI. So many of these startup companies over the last, which started around 10, 11 years ago, going for an IPO is an incredible experience. I think as India again as a policy making, if they can look at the risk taking and US for example has something called special purpose vehicles, SPAC is what they call, which goes for an IPO, and those are the things perhaps India can also look at, not to the level that it impacts a retail investor, but to the level that it there are so many other opportunities for companies to raise money, not just venture capital or a private equity, but other mechanisms of raising money. That will be great. You're on mute, Sheetal.
Thank you. So Shada ma'am, that's nice. That's nice information. We would really like to know if a woman wants to start a business, what will be your advice to the woman, and any your 5 special tips to them for starting a business.
Sure. The first thing that I think a woman has to understand is the issues that she faces is no different than what a man usually faces. Maybe there's an additional thing of, a woman also has to manage the house. I typically don't. I have help at every stage. So I have a cook, I have other things. Therefore, I don't, some things at home are taken care of, right? That's one of the things that she needs to think through, and of course having a very supportive family, which assists her in taking that steps becomes helpful. One of the things that I have seen is a woman typically gives away her right. She gives away her right to the family and she takes permission to do things, right? My husband should allow, my in-laws should allow, permit. I think the first thing that a lady has to think through is it's your life as much. So why should someone do a permission? It's your life, take charge. What everybody else needs is that kind of a comfort that whatever she was expected of her as a role, be it a wife, mother, daughter-in-law, etc., is taken care of. So plan for that. Second, think of, do you want to do it alone or do you want to have another one or two people, not more, one or two people who come in as the partner team, right, as co-founders? That kind of reduces the burden for a lady to do everything, from hiring to payments to banking to business to delivery to strategy to external facing to customers to, it can't be everybody one person doing it all, right? So if you can build that team, and if your ability to build a second deck, right, it you should try to make yourself uh, not indispensable, right? You should be dispensable. People should be there to take care of it. So put processes to make it happen. Then figure out what kind of scale you want to do in the business. Do you want to make it as, for example, I want NovoJuris to be uh, uh, a sort of a law firm across India borders, right? I have a US lawyer. I also have a Singapore lawyer who works with us, right? So that's the scale that I want. We are also lawyers for Techstars and Y Combinator, which are one of world's largest accelerators. Now, that's the scale I want. So figure out what is the kind of scale that you want. Thirdly, I think women shy away from asking for help or saying, I don't know. Don't. Seek out help from whoever you want at any point in time, but be very sure and respectful of the other person's time, and make sure what you are asking is very clear in your head and therefore you ask the question. right? There are people who come and say, can you help me in my business? Not the question. So you should say, I'm doing this business. I'm having some trouble in hiring a very senior tech person. Is there a way that you can connect me to somebody where I can hire this user interface person, right? Or a person who can develop this app for me, right? Then it becomes easy. Don't make the other person, whoever is mentoring you, to think for you. No. The way you ask and how you approach, being respectful of the other person's time, is very important. And everybody will help. Okay, whoever you ask, people will help. People are very nice. Okay, it's what we make of it is up to us. Fourth, building a team is quite a challenge, right? So is how can you build a team that it is not all about you, but it is also about the team, and how you share your say business or profits or revenues or incentive schemes, etc., is something that you can think of. And lastly, I would say think of, you know, like like I said, lifestyle, scale, etc. What do you want? What do you want to achieve in life? And if there's a plan that you can put and make that backwards as the elements that you can work on, is what you need to think through.
Yes, so these were the five things that we should note down. Women who are really interested in starting a business, that consider. Yeah,
Thank you.
Shada ma'am, I again have one question related to that. Like, what kind of resources can women read up to start their businesses, and grant are available to women?
Okay, there are a lot of resources available now. Back in 2008, perhaps it wasn't as much as available as a capsule mechanism, a snackable format, but now you have a ton of information. For example, even on our website, NovoJuris.com, we have a blog on starting up, on scaling, on fundraising, on IP, on um, employment related, on employee stock options, for example. We have a whole lot of information. And now India also has the Startup India program, right? A very pet project of Modi. The Startup India program, if you can just Google it, you will get a whole lot of information in terms of what kind of grants you get, etc. What kind of registrations, what kind of benefits you get. That's another resource. Then, based on the business itself, say for example, if it's a health tech business, then there are a whole lot of grants like BIRAC, etc., which is available. So largely you need to take a look at the kind of business. If it is solar energy, for example, there are a whole lot of other grants that are available. So I think grants are a function of business, but the large holistic way of looking at grants itself is perhaps the Startup India program, which is very helpful. But generally, as starting up, I think just Googling itself will give you a ton of data. But nojuris.com also I would recommend, because we've done a whole lot of articles written out there.
Yes, sure, sure. So we have now we know that NovoJuris is there for this kind of stuff, and we want to reach you or NovoJuris. Let's call Bhavda Rajesh also here to. She's also an
Sure.
entrepreneur, so just let's discuss with her. So what's her input, Bhavda?
Hello again to everyone. A wonderful session with by Sharda Balaji, ma'am. A very good evening, ma'am. Nice to be part of this episode along with you. It feels so privileged and nice, actually. Okay, so I think it's great. Every point that Sharda ma'am mentioned, right? Right from how do you start a business, like, how do you ideate it? And is it a small scale business or is it something scalable business? How investors kind of look into any company if they have to invest. And as a women, how we can actually make things happen. It's not like, yeah, people complain sometimes, like, my husband, my family doesn't support and they don't let me do. That is really, I think, a wrong perception. As she said, I also too very much believe, as a daughter, as a mother, as a daughter-in-law, if we are able to take care of our responsibilities, every other person in the family would also definitely support us
Yeah.
in the journey of what we need to do. And even in that sense, I am also thankful to my family and my mother-in-law, and everyone who's
Yeah,
been
nothing happens without the family being supportive, Bhavana,
definitely, yeah,
right? And I
absolutely,
think
Yes.
for every successful person, I think there is a big family behind which makes that person successful.
absolutely, Sharda ma'am. And as you said, like, for day-to-day activities also, like whatever has to be taken care of by us needs to be taken care. Some things can be, we can take help from outside also to make it happen, so that we put our time into something more good and more productive, right? So we have all that options, and I think definitely every women have the potential, and every woman can definitely do it. It's just that how we perceive, how we accept, and how we put our effort and thoughts in the right way to the other people around us, so that they also accept our thoughts and give us a way to move further, right? So this is Navratri time, and this Sheroes has been a wonderful session. So I wish everyone a very happy Dasara, and may Ma Durga bless all of us with lots of energy to do more and more. And if any women is still thinking and not taken action, take action now on whatever you need to do, with the motivation of what Sharda Balaji ma'am said.
Yeah, I think Dasara is a proof of the strength of the women,
Absolutely.
be it Karunya, be it bravery, be it Shaurya, everything as different facets of women, and she can do it.
Absolutely.
Every lady can do it.
And
Yes.
yeah, as you said, the navarasas, right, the nine emotions, that plays its own role in every person's life at its own time. So
Yeah.
how we overcome that each situation is what helps us keep moving. So every situation, just face it with smile, and things will get better, and definitely we will move forward.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. With all the ups and downs, yes, I have mentioned women have proved, they have achieved, and they have marked, they have made their marks. So we are here. See, we are here, and this is empowering. So I would really like to thank you, Sharda Balaji ma'am and Bhavana. This complete session was so inspiring, and it has opened my eyes. Also, I was not aware of so many information of this side. I am like IT professional, so I really do not have this. So I think people like me have like best or have now tips with this session. So I take the opportunity to thank you, Shada ma'am, and thank you, Bhavna ma'am, for joining in the KomTv. And we are really glad and honored to have you. Thank you so much.
It's been my privilege for being here, and thank you so much. And I still go back to my point of, making a positive difference to 1 lakh entrepreneurs. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to make my dream also come true here. Thank you, KomTV. And
That's
thank you,
wonderful.
Sheetal.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I mean, yeah, it feels a pleasure to be here. And Shada ma'am, I think we should connect again offline also. Long way to go. And I'm happy to share, like, a lot of my thoughts. Also, I was able to, as you speak, I was able to connect with you. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
on that. And Sheetal, you have been a wonderful host. It was
Thank you
nice.
so
Thank
much, Bhavna. We have Trupti Dhanpalwar here, the technical team, the Shiro behind the scenes. So we would really like
Hi,
to thank
Trupti.
you, Trupti, for the support and smoothly going program. Thank you so much.
And it's so nice that you have a lady crew as well. Trupti, thank you so
Yes.
much for making this happen.
Thank you, Trupti.
We will close this session here, and I would like to bring in the information of the next session. Our next session is tomorrow,
Thank you.
5 p.m. The topic is Dream It, Believe It, Achieve It. The special guest is Mrs. Preeti Anil Bhaskar. Special guest is Mrs. Preeti Anil Bhaskarwar, and the chief guest is Mrs. Ashwini Cholwar. The host of tomorrow's session will be Mrs. Shilpa Tagalpallewar. I would really like to mention, subscribe, like, and share KomTv, and do love us, do like us, and we are here to inspire and to get connected to all our community and behind the community. So thank you so much. We'll see you in the next session. Thank you from
Thank you.
KomTv.
Thank you, everyone.